There are over 100,000 songs being uploaded to Spotify every single day, and almost none of them have Canvas visuals. And that's a problem because Spotify's own data shows that tracks with a high quality Canvas get up to 120% more streams, 145% more shares, and listeners are 20% more likely to add the song to a playlist. That's huge. So why aren't more artists using it? Because most independent artists don't have the budget or the design skills to create a professional 8-second looping visual. So today, I'm going to show you how to create a Spotify canvas from scratch, all using AI. There's no design experience needed. I'm going to walk you through 3 different scenarios, 3 different visual styles, and by the end of the session, you'll have everything you need to make a canvas that looks like it came from a major record label's creative team. So let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And for those of you who are not in music, you're going to get a nice little lesson on how to create looping videos, which you can use for so many different use cases. I think we got a good session for you today. First off, what is a Spotify canvas? I'm going to pull up right here. I've got the Spotify website. Spotify canvas are these looping visuals you see here on the right. You can see it rotating constantly. Okay. They're 3 to 8 second looping vertical videos that replaces the static album artwork in the Spotify's now playing view on mobile. So you could see this on mobile, you could see this on desktop, but if you think about artwork, right, and the album cover, when you're listening to a song, okay, it's static. It's not moving. There's no motion, right? Today's artwork should look a lot different, right? If you're interacting and listening to music, you need visuals to represent the concept. And those visuals could be a animated version of your artwork. It could be photos or video of you or footage of something going on, or it could just represent the vibe, the mood with like animated visuals. There's so many different options. And so I'm going to pull up a couple live examples of these, okay? I've got this one right here from Say So. You can see here on the right, Say So from Doja Cat. Look on the right. Imagine you're listening to a song and you see these different interactive visuals that are coming in. They're different scenes, okay? Now, you can grab cuts from like a music video if you shot one. But hey, for those of you who don't have any visuals at all, right? We can take photography. You can generate images with these. You can create videos with different cuts. But just imagine this playing while you're listening to a song versus just seeing the static artwork, right? And so this gives you one example. Let's look at another example, okay? Die With a Smile with Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, okay? So if I come on this track here and I click on play, so this one's got a scene of Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga. I believe this is from either the music video or a shot that they had, but you look at this, right? Look how dynamic. It ties in with the album artwork, right? You see the outfits that they're wearing. It goes with the vibe. It's the artwork, but coming alive. If you were there in the session where they have this artwork, where they shot this, and this is what it looked like in the studio, you get to see what that looks like. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit, right? There, so you could see it just kind of full screen. This is interactive, okay? So when you're listening to music on Spotify, okay, here you go with Die With a Smile. And then the next one, let's pull up a little Bad Bunny, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and refresh. That way this one can play. Let me mute, and I'm just gonna press play here. And there you go. So you got DTMF, look at here on the right. I'm just going to go ahead. This is playing on mobile. It takes up your full screen. That's what looks beautiful about this, right? So imagine you're playing on your iPhone or Android. You would see a full screen version of it. It takes up the full screen. Look at this one, right? This one, you decided to go with these animated visuals. It represents the album or the song. And so you get to see what this looks like here. I think you get the point. So what are we going to do? We're going to take this session and we're going to make up our own Spotify canvas, okay? And we're going to learn how to do this. So what I'm going to do is pull up visuals, okay? Now, for those of you new joining us, right, we do have a new platform called Visuals. And in here, it allows you to generate things from Spotify Canvas, cover arts, images, lyric videos, ads, a wealth of content. Today's focus is Spotify Canvas. I want to make sure you come out of this so that you can create visuals that you can leverage for your Spotify Canvas, all right? How does that sound? Let's jump in. So we're going to look at a different couple scenarios, all right? The first scenario, when we think about these visuals, is like, all right, I have a cover art already. I've got my song. I've got a cover art. I want to take that cover art and turn it into a video, okay? Most artists already have it. So let's take it. Let's turn it into a Spotify canvas, all right? Now, the first thing I'm going to do, okay, if you think about a lot of artwork, sometimes the cover arts have text on it. Some do, some don't. It has the artist name, has all this text. Now, according to Spotify specs, we don't want to put text inside of these looping visuals, right? We want to get rid of all that, okay? So there's a couple ways that we can do this. I want to show you the manual step-by-step way so that you have total creative control over the process, okay? So instead of jumping directly to create the canvas, I'm going to go generate cover art and images, okay? Because what I want to do is take an existing cover art that I have and I want to remove the text and I want to reformat it for vertical and make sure that I'm super excited and happy about the visual before I turn that into a video. Okay. Now you can go straight to video, but we are going to turn it into an image first, make sure we're happy with the way it looks like. Then from there, we're going to turn it into a video. Okay. So how do we do that? Well, first things first, when I get to create an image, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. Over here, I can type a prompt, but I can upload something called a reference image, okay? A reference image, it's almost like if you were working with a designer or an agency and you said, hey, check out my mood board. Here's the imagery that I want you to use, but I want you to come up with XYZ. In this case, I want to come up with a canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload. I've got my folder here. So I want to show it to you first. So I just dragged this cover art. Let me open it large so you guys can see what it looks like, all right? We have this cover for a song called Midnight Static. I want to take this cover art and I want to bring this alive, okay? So this could be any cover art. It could be yours, something you've created already. Go ahead and take your cover art. Let's drop it in here into visuals, all right? Now that I'm inside of visuals, okay, a couple things that I want to do. Number one, pick your AI model. I'm going to recommend Nano Banana Pro right now. It's one of the top image generation models right now, very high quality. So we're going to keep that, but you do have options, okay? Sometimes for different creative styles, you could choose different ones. All right, whether you want GPT Image 1.5, Nano Banana 2, that was just released, Nano Banana Pro. Image quality, for this purpose, we can go with 2K, great quality. I'm going to go ahead and select that. Now, aspect ratio, okay? Remember what I said. Now, a Spotify canvas, it's a vertical video. So what I want to do is I want to take this square and I want to turn it into a vertical image. Here we go, aspect ratio. So what am I going to do? I'm going to prompt it. And now I'm going to say this out loud. I like to speak my prompts, okay? Reframe this cover art into a vertical image. Remove all text, but keep everything else intact. Just reframe the photo to fit a vertical format instead of a square. All right, now I've got my prompt. I don't know if you guys see what I did there, okay? When you think about prompting with AI, like describe it just like you were telling someone exactly what you wanted it to do and be extremely clear, okay? Sometimes it's even great to put a negative prompt in there, like, you know, do not change the person, the color scheme, the position of the subject inside of the cover art, right? So I'm just being extra clear with the different AI models, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and hit edit. So now what we are doing is we're taking this existing image and this cover art and we're editing it so that it becomes a vertical image that we can use to turn into a video, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. You could skip this step and go directly from this image to a video, okay? But you're going to do less revisions if you do this step first, okay? So we'll just give this a second. Any questions while this is generating? Too late because it was that fast. Look at that. I'm kidding. Go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. So look at that. We now have this beautiful cover art for Midnight Static into a vertical image. Check it out here. Look what it did. It repositioned it, blended everything beautifully, turned it into a vertical image, okay? Look, this works even if you whether you wanted to turn it into a video for Spotify Canvas. This works if you were trying to take an existing image and reframe it for a story on Instagram, or if you wanted to post it as a post on Instagram or TikTok, right? There's so many use cases to reframe a photo, okay? But right now we want to use this as the frame for the video that we are about to generate. If this was going to be an ad, I would have done the same thing. I would have reframed the cover art, turned it into a vertical image. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this image and turn it into a video. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Now, I don't have to download this image. I could click download right here, but we have something called remix. Okay, one of my favorite features. I want to take this image and remix it into a video. So I'm going to click on remix and you have a couple different options. I could turn it into another cover art. I can turn it into a poster, but in this case, I'm going to turn it into a canvas video. Okay, now I'm going to click on canvas. What's great about this, and this is what you're going to see, it automatically loaded in now this reference image that I had. It brought the prompt in here for me in case I wanted to use it for whatever reason. Now, because of the prompt, I don't need this. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it, okay? Because now what we want to do is we want to turn this image into a looping motion video that we can put on Spotify Canvas, okay? And there's a couple different ways we could do it, okay? Now, you can prompt this and describe exactly what you want it to do, right? Do you want her to stay still? Do you want her to rotate? Do you want the fog to, slowly move? Do you want hard cuts where it kind of zooms in on her and then zooms out? You could type whatever you want in here. I'm going to click this little magic icon, okay? Because what this does is going to analyze the image, right? Because remember, in visuals, it could see exactly what you put in here. We are now analyzing what the image is about, and we are automatically coming up with a prompt of what to do, what to animate about this visual before it creates the video, okay? Why do we do this? For multiple reasons. One, because if you don't know how to prompt and you need help for that extra insight, we provide it to you. You can now look at this as a framework or a template. You don't have to use this prompt. You might want to refine a lot of the elements. You might want to copy and paste it into Claude or ChatGPT and refine it before you make the looping visual. And that's up to you. We're going to use this as is. Now, if you don't get the result that you want, it's probably because of the prompt. So in that case, don't use our prompts. Tell it exactly what you want it to do. Now we've got our reference image. We have our prompt. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. Now we have all these settings. These settings for genre, mood, artist name. This is only if you don't have a reference image and you want to just pre-select a couple settings to generate a video. Okay? You can experiment with that. But right now we want total creative control. I'm bringing in my cover art. I'm animating our cover art. Now I'm going to scroll down. Before I click generate, there's a couple things I want to figure out, okay? We have different AI models to turn images into video, okay? So one of them that we have is called Luma Ray 2. If I click on this drop down, you'll see we have multiple options, all right? Today's focus, I'm going to focus on Google VO 3.1 and Luma Ray 2. We're probably going to use the Flash versions because they produce the content much faster. It's great to iterate if you're just trying to figure out, is this what you wanted? But if you're going to have the final high res that you're going to upload to Spotify and you already know it's going to be good, or you just want to go ahead and go with the high res, go ahead and select either 3.1 or Ray 2 directly. They're going to be higher quality, but they take a little bit more time. All right, first up, I'm going to go ahead with Luma Ray 2. I'm going to do Flash so that I can get a quicker output for you. Now, video duration, we have different options for this particular AI model, okay? We could do 5 seconds and 9 seconds. Now, if I pull up the Canvas specs, okay, we can go over this more later. I won't pull it up yet, but it's got an 8-second limit, 3 to 8 seconds for optimal looping, okay? Now, you could do 9 seconds and we can cut it later in the editor, but for now, I'm going to go with 5. And what's good about Luma is it has a feature called seamless loop. Okay, if you enable this, it will automatically try to make it a seamless loop either through a reverse bounce or how the effects are with the video. Again, you might have to try it multiple times to get the right level of a loop. That's what I'm going to try. And for aspect ratio, because we are doing Spotify Canvas, let's leave it as 9:16. Now, again, if you're trying to create this video for social media, for TikTok or any one of those, you could still use this 9:16 aspect ratio. And you can also choose another one if you needed it for a different purpose. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to hit generate and we're going to let this one create in the background. Now, what's cool about this is I want to show you 2 different AI models so you can compare, okay? Luma Ray 2 Flash, fantastic. That one's generating. The next one I'm going to do, same prompt, same image, is going to be VO 3.1 Flash. Now, in this case, I could do 4, 6, or 8 seconds. Since we have an 8-second limit, I'm going to go ahead and do 8 seconds. Now with VO 3.1, this AI model can actually produce audio, like sound effects, music, sounds, whatever it is. We don't need that. Why? Because we're going to upload the video and your song is going to be playing in the background, okay? Now, if you were trying to create an ad and you wanted it to speak, go ahead and enable audio generation. I'm disabling that right now. So as a reminder, to create with VO 3.1, it's keeping the same image, same prompt. I'm going to go ahead and hit generate. Now that's generating. Perfect. And the video just finished that we just did with Luma. We're going to let VO run and I'm going to show you now what it looks like with Luma Ray 2. There we go. It's just loading. And there you have it. So this one is subtle. What do you guys think? Drop it in the chat. Can you imagine, depending on the vibe of the song, but you saw the cover artwork, this playing in the background, subtle motion, it comes alive. It's enough for you to be able to kind of enjoy, but yet not be too intrusive within Spotify. What do you think? You say, do we use our music or something else? Yeah, so for example, if you are putting a song on Spotify, your song, once it's already distributed on Spotify, you can put this asset as the video that plays when that song is playing, okay? If you wanted to just post this on social media, you can add your song to this video. which we have a workflow to do that. You would just literally remix it into what we call a lyric video. Again, you could disable lyrics. You don't have to have the lyrics, but that will allow you to add audio to this video and export that as an MP4 file. Great point. So you said, I guess it depends on the song. It seems like the Spotify canvas usually has multiple imagery. You hit it right on the head, right? It does depend on the song. Some songs lend itself to something a little bit more smooth. Others lend itself to something that could be a little bit more animated, right? And we could try to prompt this, and I'll show you a couple ideas that I have to make it go. We'll do it with this video if you want to try it. All right. So let me show you what this looks like now with Google VO 3.1. Okay. They look almost the same, right? But with VO, you could see it actually did a little bit further, right? You got more smoke moving. Again, it's still subtle. But why is it subtle, right? It's because of the prompt. A lone woman in a long, pale, translucent dress stands ankle deep in a light midnight lake, centered in the wide frame. Let's see. Thick, low fog drifts across the water in waves, right? So it talks about the color palette, the lighting, the texture, okay, the motion design. All right, so let's look at the motion design section. The camera performs an almost imperceptible slow push-in or micro dolly while the fog curls and slides laterally. Her dress breathes with a minimal wind pulse. Concentric ripples expand from her feet, widen, fade, then restart perfectly for the loop. So you could see that the prompt itself tried to make the atmosphere a little bit more slow and subtle to get this type of vibe. And by the way, what do you think? Did the prompt yield the result of what it's doing? Right? Because that's the number one most important thing, right? Because you could do almost what you want. We want to make sure that the prompt yielded the result that you were looking for, right? And that's what's great is that our prompts will generate it and do that for you. But then I can come in here and I could say, hey, I don't want this to be subtle, right? Let's go to the motion design right here, right? Slow push-in, almost in person. Like, I don't want that. You know, it performs a rapid push-in. I wouldn't do that, but this is going to go too crazy. But you could describe it in any way you want. So let's try something a little bit different. I'm just going to speak out loud of an idea that I have. Turn this image into a motion video and include 3 distinct cuts of the same exact scene. The first step, you see the fog in motion, then cut to a different angle looking at the subject, then cut to a drone shot angle revealing more of the scene. All right, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. I'm not going too detailed. You can make this prompt even better, but I wanna see what something like this does, okay? Because I wanna show you an idea that we have with cuts. Now, something important, do it with Google VO 3.1. If you wanna have hard cuts between scenes, VO 3.1 is going to do it much better, okay? Luma Ray 2 sometimes can struggle with those instructions. So it's something that you can play with the different AI models and the different creative direction that you're going for. So I'm going to let that one run. Meanwhile, I want to show you an example of another concept. So I want to grab another cover art so we could see a different style. So we got 2 cover arts. Let's try number 2. Let's see what this one looks like. This one's called Fuego Lento. Look at the design, the vibe, completely different. And what I want to do is the same thing that I did before. Actually, what I'll do is just copy this prompt. There's no point in doing the work twice, right? Because we're going to do the same thing. I'm telling it to reframe the cover art, remove all text, and everything else is intact. Reframe the photo to fit a vertical format. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to select vertical. I've got the high res image quality, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit generate. Why? Because remember what we said. We are turning this cover art that has text on it. We're going to remove all the text, reframe it for vertical. This is the same thing if you've got like a ad that has a bunch of text on it or graphics or stuff like that. And you're like, wow, this looks great, but I don't have the layers. I need this image without all the layers in it, right? You could use this to edit almost any image you want. So video is still generating. We'll let that run. The cover now is generating and here it is. Check that out, right? I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up. This was the original. So here's the new one. Same scene, vertical format, text removed. Here's the original. What do you guys think? Did it do a good job? We got it. Fuego Lento and now completely removed, which means this image asset is now ready to be turned into a Spotify canvas. All right. Now, if you remember, how do we do that? We're going to click here on remix. I'm going to go here to as a canvas video. I'm going to remix that now into a canvas video. Excellent. Now that I've got my canvas video, I'm just going to delete this text because I don't need it. What did I say we were going to do? Let's come up with a prompt. I'm going to go ahead and hit the magic icon. And now we are generating a creative prompt. So this one's got a looping cinematic canvas prompt. It's a night rooftop portrait over a sleepy downtown street, a lone figure, unidentifiable, no logos, leaning lightly on a concrete parapet, framed through soft, out of focus chain like. Okay, so we got that, right? So this breaks down what the scene and the vibe looks like for the video. The motion for seamless loop, slow, almost imperceptible push in over 6 to 8 seconds, while the foreground chain, okay, so it's doing slow again. I'm just going to take out the word slow. It's still going to, we'll see how it kind of eases into it. You know, percentages are good because you don't know if you want rapid, but I'm going to go ahead and just take that out. I'm curious what this would look like, right? And cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and generate this, right? And again, we could do what we did earlier. I'm going to go ahead with Luma Ray 2. I'll do flash so we can get it for speed. We'll do 5 seconds and we'll do a seamless loop. And then I'll go ahead and hit generate. So now I've got Ray 2 generating. Let's go ahead and hit 3.1 flash. All right. Look, I'm doing this because I want to show you the different options that we have so that you don't have to do the trial and error. You get to see right here live on this demo which one you like more. I've got VO 3.1 flash. I've got 8 seconds. Go ahead and hit generate. Now we've got 3 videos still rendering. Let's go ahead and get my third shot. Where do I pull that up? Let's go ahead and create an album cover. Sorry, cover or image. I'm going to go ahead and hit upload and I'm going to get the third cover art. Here we go. All right, this one's completely different, right? There's no person in the image. It's called Glass Signal, Nano Banana Pro. Let's go ahead and steal the prompt that we had right here. Click copy. I'll paste that. I'm going to scroll down. We are going to select the 9:16 aspect ratio because remember what we're doing is we're moving the text. We've got 3 cover arts, completely different styles that we're going to try to animate. This one, subtle again. This is with Luma. Now, I think one of the reasons why also as subtle as it is with Luma is because it's doing a looping motion. I don't know if you could tell, but it's almost seamless. It doesn't look like you've got a hard cut in it, right? It starts and ends almost in the same position in the same style that it is, right? And so with more prompting, you can come up with different variations of how this scene could render. And I really want to show you the VO 3.1 version, but sometimes that model could take a little bit longer. So you just got to bear with it a little bit while we let that create. And I'll show you guys a couple examples. Here's one that I did before. So you could see variety. So you can see this did kind of like the 3 scene split concept. What do you guys think of this one? It's cool. You can see how this is completely different than the other ones that we did. I'll pull up one other one. This is almost like imagine a scene inside of a film. You've got this guy standing in water. Could you imagine something like this playing while a song is playing? Obviously it depends on the song. This one feels, got a little bit darker vibes, I would say, to it. And then we've got this one. Here's another one. This one looked a little creepy, but you can imagine this for, it depends on the track. The song could be like a punk vibe song or something like that. But there you go. You've got different motion visuals. Here's another one that kind of swipes and cuts through different scenes. See, this is VO 3.1 flash. You could see how it could do different scenes, different concepts, depending on what you're looking for. So these are all variety, different variations. Let's see if any more finished rendering. Here's another variation. This is with VO 3.1 flash, the same prompt. So you saw the prompt that we used with Luma and you saw the prompt that we used with VO 3.1 flash. This one added more motion. The style is even different. You see how it's like positioning it. What is that? Like a fence that it's kind of looking through. What do you guys think of this one? Yeah, this will look cool. I think on Spotify, this will come out pretty good right here. So you could see, right? I think one of the things is one, you can have creative control. You can try different models. You can see which ones work best. And sometimes you need to create a couple variations to figure out the one that you want to use, right? So we have this one, and I think the other one finished. Let me see if, there we go. So you guys remember this one, right? Look at this one now, how it cut now through the 3 different scenes, right? I asked it to zoom in. It's doing a zoom in into the image. It does the drone shot view to open up more of the scene. And here you go. This is what you would say is a hard cut, right? And so you can imagine something like this playing in the background. What do you think? You guys like this one more, or do you like the one that was more subtle? Yeah, Sam, you tend to like more movement. Yeah, me too. I love movement too. So that's a great point. Yeah, just to show you again, this is what it was before, more subtle. And then the second prompt, a lot more movement. Now, what's great about this, again, you can animate any scene you want. That's what makes this incredible. Okay, so let me close this. Let's go back here. We got one more here I want to show you. So remember, we took this cover, we turned it into an image. Here it is, right? It kept the core of the image. It extended it. Now I've got this beautiful visual. I'm going to go ahead and remix this now into a canvas. This is a shot. This is not a person. This is not a subject or a person that you need to think about. And by the way, you guys probably noticed that I say subject inside of these prompts, okay? Don't name a person's name, especially if you're an artist or you might be someone famous or people look you up online. It'll get rejected. The AI models do better if you just say like the female subject or the male subject, or you describe the person, okay? Instead of actually putting a name to them. So just a quick tip that helps a lot of times with the prompts when you're making them, which is why I say that, okay? So now that we've got this image for this cover, I deleted the prompt. I'm gonna go ahead and analyze it, okay? Because what we're doing now is we turn the cover art into a vertical image that we're gonna use to generate the Spotify motion canvas. And I'm using AI to figure out how we are going to loop this particular video. And you can see here, it analyzed it and described everything that it needs to do. It's got the different curves, thickness and intensity, camera, let's see, slow, macro to medium, push-in. So we're just gonna give this a shot, all right? And then we can fine tune it afterwards. Again, we're gonna use Luma Ray 2. For speed, I'm gonna go with Flash. It's 5 seconds long and I got a seamless loop, and we have Spotify Canvas. I say this over and over to repeat because you wanna make sure you have the right settings so that you can generate exactly what you want. All right. So now we've got Spotify Canvas in the making. So just like we did before, I'm going to go ahead and turn this into VO 3.1. That way you can see what it looks like. I've got 3.1 Flash. We're going to do 8 seconds long. I'll disable the audio and I'll go ahead and hit generate. All right, now we have 2 videos generating from that scene. First one's done. That's probably the Luma version. Yep, Luma. Let's see what it looks like. Here we go. Look at that. And look, perfect seamless loop. Look how it's going. Now, this is what I do love about Luma Ray 2, the AI model, okay? Especially with like objects and things that look like animated or visuals or stuff like that. It does a really good job in animating those. I'll tell you that. And so just this cover art, just like, I got to pull up the cover art, right? Because seeing the two side by side is so, I think, helpful, right? Let me pull this up. Like, this is the cover art. And we said, hey, this is my cover art. This is what represents my song that I'm playing on Spotify. I want to bring it to life. And here we go. Your song brought to life through the visuals already made with your cover art. Question you've got, well, I'm thinking this might be a nice way to create a side hustle by reaching out to artists that are not using this technique. Pretty easy to create. 100%. If you are a agency or a freelancer and you're working with artists, I'll tell you, a lot of artists do need help. So you might be an artist watching this and sometimes you're like, hey, I want someone else to come and do all the prompts for me. I'm going to try to teach you all how you can do this on your own. But if you want to offer this as a service, there's a lot of creative imagination and inputs that can come in to do this. Like, I'm showing you how to turn covers into this, right? But the next thing you could do is actually generate visuals completely from scratch. What if you don't have a cover art? What if you don't have an image that you want to use? What if you want to reimagine the vibe because maybe your cover art doesn't lend itself to be visualized into a Spotify canvas, and that's not the visual that you want as a motion playing? You could almost create like a shot, like a scene in a music video or other animated visuals from scratch, right? So what I'm going to do now is we're going to do that exact thing. So what do I want to do? I want to create a video from scratch. Now, there's 2 ways that we could do it, okay? I could just prompt here directly and say, hey, I want to make a video about XYZ, and it'll create a video clip for me, okay? Or what we could do is generate the visual first and then generate the video. So I like more creative control first, which is why I would say let's create the image first. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to use the same prompt twice and we're going to see what it does. So I created a prompt I have pre-made. It's for a vertical 16 abstract visual, dark smoky atmosphere with deep blacks, red accents, slow moving tendrils, smoke and light, metallic reflections, etc. And we want no text, no faces, make it seamless. So this is already a visual. I just want to try it out and see what it looks like, okay? Now, here's a tip for you, okay? When you're making videos for Spotify Canvas, make sure you're explicit. Do not add any text. Don't add any logos. Don't add your website URL, call to actions, none of that, okay? All that's going to happen is Spotify is going to reject your song. Okay. And not just Spotify. If you're working with a distributor and you're uploading to one of those services, they're going to reject it before it can even hit Spotify. So just make sure you type that into your prompts. You don't want it to go out that way. So right now I don't have a visual. I'm just typing in a prompt to create a video for me. I'm going to come down. Now, because I don't have a video, in here, there's a step that will automatically create the image for me first, and then it will create the video. Okay. The only thing is here, you don't have control. So if you don't like the image, the video is going to generate regardless. But I'm going to show you what that looks like so you have an idea for it. I'll go ahead and I'll do VO 3.1 flash, and we'll make it 8 seconds long, turn off audio, and let's just go ahead and hit generate. So what I'm doing right now is direct text to video. We on the back end are processing and generating an image first for you. But let's say you want to have control over it, right? I just wrote that prompt, but really I have no idea what it's going to look like, right? And I might waste a bunch of credits generating a video, and I wasn't even happy with the image concept to begin with. So let's come here and generate the image first, okay? While that's generating, and we could see the two different outputs, right? So I'm doing a vertical 9:16 abstract visual. Perfect. I'm going to take out 5 seconds because obviously we don't need that. And I'm going to come here. I'm selecting Nano Banana Pro, or you could do Nano Banana 2 when you watch this video. It's great quality as well. 9:16 aspect ratio because I'm doing a Spotify canvas. Let's go ahead and generate. So now I'm creating this visual. We're going to see what it looks like. And if we like this one more than the video that produces, I can turn this one into a video, and this can become my Spotify canvas. Let's check the progress. So for this visual, again, this one's a little bit more abstract, right? Abstract visual, dark, smoky atmosphere. What do you guys think of this visual? Again, it depends on the song, but could you imagine this playing in the background, a scene, while listening to a track on Spotify? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to remix this image. Let's turn it into a canvas video. Again, this is from scratch. Right? I had no assets. I didn't have an image. I didn't have a photo. I didn't have cover art. I wanted to create something from scratch. This is an example. We're going to go ahead and animate it. I'm going to delete this prompt and ask Visuals, our AI, to animate the motion of this particular image. We'll just give that a second. Awesome. Looping canvas video, razor edge. Perfect. So remember what I said. Because it's an animated graphic, I think Luma Ray 2 might do a pretty good job. Let's go ahead and set up Luma. We're going to do a 5-second loop, and it's seamless. Spotify canvas, we got that selected. Now I'm just going to hit generate. Okay. And there you have it. Now we're creating these videos. Now remember what I said earlier. You could with Luma, if you like the model, select 9 seconds. The only thing is it's going to exceed the limits on Spotify. So you're going to want to open this up inside of our video editor to clip the last second of the video. Okay. But I don't recommend it because if you're trying to do a seamless loop, that means you're going to remove the portion of the video that would loop. So that's why I recommend for Luma, you can go at 5 seconds, or I've already shown you 3.1 flash, especially if you want hard cuts on those scenes. You could do 8 seconds, which is the exact duration that you need to upload to Spotify. And so we'll see what those results look like. Look, both of them finished. All right. So you could see they actually almost came out very similar. But remember, the blue one was the one that we did from image to video. And this red one was direct prompt to video. The only problem with this one is that we didn't have control if we wanted to make a change. But it's still, check this out. This is on 3.1 flash. What do you guys think? Remember, I put in a prompt, went straight to generating a video. So if this met the vibe to your song, this matched the prompt exactly. All right. What's the next one? Let's see. This one was very similar, but it took the screenshot of the image, but instead of rotating the diamond in the middle, it focused a lot more with the fog and the effects that you see in the background. So I've got one more. Just imagine you're an artist. You've got a shot of you in the studio or wherever. It doesn't matter. But in this particular portrait, we have an artist. We want to be able to animate this one. Now, I think in this case, we're going to do multiple scenes as well. The subject stays mostly still, very subtle movement. The camera slowly zooms out, then hard cuts to a different angle in the studio, and then a hard cut back to the starting point of this particular image. So I'm going to do something like that. Let's see what it looks like. I want to see a multi-scene video. I'm going to go ahead and scroll. We're going to do VO 3.1 flash, stick, 8 seconds long, no audio, Spotify canvas, and I'm going to go ahead and hit generate. I want you to leave away seeing that there's so many options that you could do. I can take my existing cover art. I could take a photo of me, or if you're working with an artist, and use that to generate video. I could just come up with a prompt of whatever it is that I want to generate, and I can go directly from text directly to video to be able to generate clips for Spotify Canvas. Okay. Stop using templates. You can use these platforms, and yes, you can make a Spotify Canvas, but they're going to be templated, right? Thousands of other people, of other artists going to have the same material. Everything I'm showing you here is completely unique. to the vibe of you, your song, or whatever it is that you're feeding into it. Okay. All right. So I see a question here. Let me see. So the prompting can be done with audio like you did to create this prompt directly inside of Alphana. Great question. So no, I use a third-party tool to do the audio. So if you're on a Mac, Mac has it natively. You can use the voice dictation, but I use something called Whisper that I use every day, and that helps to transcribe what I say. So I press a keyboard shortcut, and then I'll be able to say, I'll dictate whatever it is, and then it pastes it directly into the prompt box. If you want to see it directly inside of Alphana so you can dictate to it, I'd love to hear that. Tell me your feedback. You could drop it in the comments or let me know here. That's good feedback for us to see if we want to bake that into the product. Maybe we will one day. All right. Check this out. So you can see how it did a couple hard cuts and then shot to her turning around, walking back to the control board. Look at that. What do you guys think? And by the way, if I wanted to iterate on this, maybe I don't want her to turn around, right? Maybe I want her to just walk off screen or, sit down facing the camera, right? You could think of different variations of what to do with a video like this in this particular shot. But the point is, you could do anything. And that's where I think the magic lies. Now, once you're done with this, all right, you could favorite it. If you're like, hey, this is my favorite one, I want to save that and I want to put it somewhere else. But let me see. You can also remix it or share it, right? This will give you a shareable link that you can send to anybody to review, check it out. If you wanted to come up with a caption, you could just type an example here of what you want, almost like a note, and you now have an asset here that you can use. That one could use some additional work. The cuts are quite not natural looking, but I can see how this could be iterated. Yeah, I mean, you could see my prompt was very basic, right? Like a prompt like this, you could literally feed into a ChatGPT or Claude and say, hey, here's a photo. I want it to have 3 clean, hard cuts of different angles and have it help you to produce that, right? And I think we have other examples that we've done. I'll show you a couple things that could be turned into a canvas. Let me see if I can find them here. So like this one here. So you can see how it took, this was all from a cover art, by the way. We took literally this cover art and turned it into a motion video like you're seeing here. What do you guys think of this one? So you've got that. You've got others, for example, let's say you're DJing or you want to kind of do something with dance and music. You could literally do dancing videos. Now, what's cool about this is, let's say the Spotify canvas, you don't want it to be a visual view. You just want it to bring in a character for whatever reason, right? Because I think different songs, different bands, some are faceless. Maybe you don't want your face as part of it. You want to have a character to show the vibe. You could do a dance scene inside of a party and have multiple people dancing. And maybe that's the vibe that you want to show. So you could see how here, this was directly text to prompt and coming up with this, right? Here's another one. Completely different. You've got DJs kind of dancing and moving. Here's another one. You got the dancing frog as an example, right? Remember, it doesn't have to, like, you could go completely realistic, use shots and real photos and images, or you can come up with a character and bring that character into a particular scene. This gives you options, right? So Spotify Canvas is extremely important. It's something I highly recommend. And there's so many different use cases for leveraging Spotify Canvas so that you can use this. Everything I've shown you here in this demo was generated inside of visuals, okay? We took all the images, we reframed them, we turned them into a Spotify canvas, and these are ready to export. Just go ahead and hit the download button right there, and it'll download the video to your device, so that way it's ready for you to upload to Spotify. Thanks so much for this great session. Thank you. Appreciate that feedback. I hope you all enjoyed this. I can't tell you how important visuals are just in general. We live in a world where when visuals don't exist, the algorithms pretty much forget you. And I want to make sure that your music is seen. That's the number one most important priority. And that kind of wraps up our Insider Live today. So real quick, if you're on YouTube, please go ahead, hit subscribe, like, drop a comment. I love to hear from you guys on our YouTube channel. It helps the algorithm and it helps for others to be able to find us. I'm Sebastian. I'm the co-founder of Alphana. If you guys need anything at all, just reach out. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye, everyone.